seconds. How'd you come to FFL? How long have you been in this industry?
Yeah. I kind of I was actually in government contracting for the last 20 years, between Miami and DC. My office in DC basically gave me an ultimatum last year: either take a promotion and move permanently to DC or take forced retirement.
Mm,
So I'm only 41, so I mean at 40 I had to take forced retirement. I can't touch it though until I'm 55. So
mm,
I sat around the house for like a few months, didn't do anything, went fishing, hung out with my kids. First time in my life with no purpose.
sure.
But then I was bored out of my mind, to be honest. And then I got my life insurance license on my own and kind of went out and did that. And thought, where am I going to hang my license? Am I going to do health insurance? Am I going to do life insurance? I interviewed with every company known to man, and then FFL was a place where I said, okay, I could run my business the way I want to do it. I could start part-time. If I want to work hard, I could work hard. If I want to chill out, I'll chill out. Um, so I started part-time. I was part-time in the sense of a part-time schedule, but I
Hmm.
still ran about 25 appointments a week
Okay.
part-time. So it was like high intention, high results. Um, and I did part-time probably way too long. I think I got comfortable with it. But then I did full-time. I've only been full-time for about maybe 6 months.
Hmm.
So part-time 6 months, full-time 6 months. So it's been about a year. So, but I probably should have gone full-time sooner, but I also like fishing on a Tuesday in the middle of the day. So I was like,
Sure.
yeah, it was the first time in my life where I had that position where I was like, okay, I could do nothing on 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
let me, but then reality hit. Like I wanted to really build this and grow this. And the only way to do that is to really put in the full-time effort, full-time push on it. So that's
Sure.
what I did.
Sure. Sure. And then, okay. And so you came in, so first part-time for about 6 months, full-time for what made you, well, actually, before we get into that, was this your first sales gig you ever did?
Yeah. I've never been into sales or anything whatsoever. I've always been government contract management. Is not a sales role at all. Basically, I
Mhm.
was at SCS, so it was managing contracts for State Department and government entities with government contracting like offices. So it wasn't sales. It was very administrative, managing operations and different parties, but no sales experience at all. Um,
So, so coming in with no experience, was there a learning curve for you, or was the sales process difficult, or because we're working leads, did you feel like kind of hit the ground running?
yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think you really need a sales background. It almost helps that you don't.
Mm,
Um, you really, if you look at it kind of like, I still even to this day just run the numbers. 30 appointments, you sit with this many, there's going to be some that literally have a check waiting for you as soon as you get out of your car. There's going to be some that you need to convince, and there's some that are going to say no as soon as you park. So if you just run the numbers, you kind of get success. Um, but the learning curve was only getting, for me early on, it was just dialing the phones. Like I've never done that ever in my life, dialing the phones. So in order to get better on the phones, you have to dial more.
right.
Even now, I dial every day. I dial on Mondays and Thursdays. I dial every morning for an hour and a half on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. I dial for 2 hours in the evening on Saturdays and 3 hours straight through on Sundays. Not that I necessarily need to, but that's my routine. And that's where I get, sometimes 35 to 40 appointments because I dial more.
Sure. When do you normally dial on? So on normal days, you start your appointments later to dial early in the morning. You dial in between. How do you do it?
Yeah, I usually dial like the run days, like Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. I'll dial in the morning from like 8 to 9:30. Um, and then I'll usually set my first appointment like around 10:30, 11. And my last appointment is usually like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. And then so you run them pretty late then. nine, 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I run into a lot of clients that get out of work at 7, 6 o'clock. And if you stack up a bunch of appointments, 6, 7, 8, 9, you could only squeeze in so many if you're trying to
Right.
finish your day at 8 o'clock or 8 p.m. So I extend my hours. I'm looking at my schedule now, and I have 2 appointments tonight at 9:30 and one at 11. So I'll
Wow.
try to,
Okay.
yeah, I'll try to get to them earlier if I can, but if I get there late, I just get there late. It's what it is.
Sure. Sure. No, that makes sense. And then, okay, so start off part time. What was your biggest week while you're kind of going? I know you said it was part time, full time, just kind of the way that you ran it. What was your biggest week when you were, or biggest month, I would say, when you were going part time?
Um, like 18,000, 19,000.
Okay. And what made you decide to make that transition going into full time? Like thinking like, okay, I want this to be a career.
Well, I figured if I put double the effort, I would see double the outcome. And then I
Hmm.
saw the big advantage of, building a team and the structure and all of that. A lot of people on my team were part-time and were kind of, I think, waiting for me to kind of go full-time and see the outcome. And like 5 of them so far have converted over also to doing it full-time.
Hmm.
So been that's been a positive. And it's just, whatever you were doing on, half the week, now you just double it, and you spend a little bit more on leads, but having more time in the field to door knock, to have activity, increases your productivity, your outcome.
Sure, sure. That's really interesting what you said too, as far as like, you were already kind of building a team and you felt like, you were, and that's something funny I've learned about this job too. You would think that the amount of money that just an individual can make would be kind of like the biggest motivation, but it's really interesting how people kind of still look to you at the example. Like I remember hearing people say stuff to me like, "Oh man, you wrote 10K a week that or something. They had a really big week. That's inspiring." And be like, "You can do that too. Like, why don't you just go do that? Like, why are you looking at me?" But so you kind of had people watching you, waiting for you to
Yeah.
go full time.
Literally people were asking me like, "Hey, why aren't you doing this full time?" And I was like, do you want the honest answer? Honest answer, I wanted to play golf like more. Never had the time of my life to do that. I wanted to spend time with my kids. I was always traveling, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, but once we figured out like my kids' school schedule, and with COVID shutting down schools and stuff like that, it kind of threw things off. But um, I then saw it as like instant opportunity. I said, you know what, I should jump on this now. My momentum is like in a good place. I have the work ethic. um, I just gotta go. I just gotta work, just work more hours, put more time in, dial the phones more, get more appointments. Not that deep. And that's what I tell my team, like, guys, it's not that deep. Like, you literally just dial the phones, get appointments, have the intent to like show up at appointments. Like, don't be nervous. Like, I'll be honest, even I get to houses sometimes and I'm in like sketchy areas and I'm like, oh man, should I go? Should I go? Oh yeah, let me just go. This is why I'm here. They need my help.
Hmm.
Um, but just go. Like, you get a no show, just go to the next house, go to the next appointment, go do something else, have activity.
Yeah, showing up is such a big deal. And it's so funny. I get intimidated in the opposite. I grew up in a sketchy area, so I get intimidated when I come up to a $500,000 house and I'm seeing all these beautiful cars in the driveway and these people make a lot of money and sitting
Uh-huh.
down. And it's so funny. And then 20 minutes later, they're handing me a voided check and it's 500 a month. And I'm just like, I can't believe this. So
Yeah.
but no, you're right. It's so funny to just put in the work and go. So now that you've come to full time, what's been your biggest month personal production wise?
Um, so I could probably write more, but my comp is between 30 and 5 a month. And
So
I say that because, like, yeah, my comfortable number is between 30 and 35 a month. And I
okay.
say that because um I have a budget of terms of what I need to pay. My recruiter, my lead flow, and my life, and then there's extra. So
Mm-hmm.
my comfortable number is sticking between 30 and 35, gives me plenty of extra. Um, but like I I don't want to say I don't need 40, 50, 60, but I know that would take me, maybe more time in the field than I need to keep my
Sure.
balance of being able to be available for myself, my team, my staff now, and be able to balance it all, and honestly just to keep my sanity.
Sure.
Um, which I like.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you there for just a minute. I don't know if it's you or me. One
Oh,
minute.
yeah, no, you're
Okay.
kind of popping in and out, but yeah.
Okay. I seem to have you now. So all right, so let's make that transition there. So obviously now you are aggressively team building. You had a team before, but now you have recruiters, now you have staff. Talk to us about that transition. When did you make that? What's your growth been like? Where are you now?
Yeah, I think, early on, I mean, I don't speak Spanish, and in South Florida, we kind of need that. So early on, like my first couple weeks, I hired some people that I knew, friends and family that speak Spanish, and I'm able to distribute some of those leads over to the work done there. So that was the first couple weeks. Then I started, doing a lot of social media diving and posting on Craigslist and things like that, to get my own sort of flow of candidates coming in.
Hmm.
So I went from maybe like 5 to 10 to 20, kind of on my own. Then by using a recruiter, I was able to really accelerate it. There's probably like 60 or so that are in HCMS, and then there's like 400 or so going through schooling. Um, and then
Hmm.
this recruiter I just added this week, I'm hoping to accelerate it, even more. I want to, be at like 300,000 by the end of the year if I could, as a team,
Sure.
and right now we're trickling, trying to get to our first stage. But um, with 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 the recruiter, it definitely adds, or accelerates the growth aspect of it. Um, but you have to write enough business to be able to afford that.
Right. Sure. Sure.
So, yeah, so monthly, I mean, being very transparent, monthly, I have a drop dead number of I need to make at least 19,000, monthly to cover everything. Anything more than that is extra. Will be
Sure.
to reinvest back into it. But 19 is like my flat number. With that, I break even with everything and keeps the ball rolling.
Sure. Sure. So you're like, I need 19 to pay my bills, my household, my leads, pay the recruiting leads, and then anything over that is, you know, you just more you can put in.
More you could put in, yes. I mean, I have a recruiter and a half basically now. I hope to add another recruiter, probably by the end of probably by December. Because more recruiters, just add more fuel to this fire. So that's the goal. Um,
Sure.
yeah. And if I need to write more business to do that, then I'll lose my sanity for a little bit and work a little harder. Um,
Sure.
but um, but yeah, not that bad.
Yeah. And then, all right. And then, so obviously now you went from part time, full time. These people are watching you. Obviously, when you're just starting, a lot of times we bring in maybe just people we know that, we think would be good. And then as we get into aggressively building, getting a recruiter or bringing in people that are completely cold. Maybe there was an Indeed ad, like you said, Craigslist, someone that just saw a post you did on social media. Now that you're bringing in people and helping them be successful, Tia, what would you say are attributes you've seen of people that come in and they're just not going to work out, and then attributes of people that come in and they just seem to crush it, like they just get it?
Yeah, I really, from the first week that I started, July of last year, I've sold a policy every single week. So whether even if I was out of town, like on vacation for a couple of days or something like that or whatever, I would still make sure that I did something every single week. So like
Right.
consistency is like my number one thing. And then when I'm interviewing people, I even ask them straight up, like, say you have 8 no sales for the day, you get no showed, and you still have 3 hours left in your workday. What are you gonna do? And if they say I'm gonna go home and take a nap and regroup, I honestly end the conversation, because you're not gonna dial the phone, you're not going to go door knock, you're not gonna, try to circle back with those people that no showed you. So I like the people that really want to grind it out, and know what to do when you could get 10, 15 no's in a row. How are you going to pick yourself up and go forward? um so that's a positive, I guess, being able to kind of grind and move forward. um
Sure. So
I think
you're
some of the
looking for people that are just going to work hard. Like they're not going to be discouraged, and they're going to go out and
yeah,
work kind of no matter what.
yeah, I mean, no matter what, I mean, you just kind of have to move forward. um the attributes that really hurt people from the beginning is, and you have to keep it out of your mind, is honestly overthinking.
Mm.
um like, I don't I'm being honest, like, I don't know half the products. Like, I know enough to guide the client in the right direction and to figure
Mhm.
out what's best for them. But you don't have to know all the ins and outs of every single product. And those
Mhm.
agents that come in either from other IMOs or from other walks of life thinking that you have to know all the products inside and out, like, you don't. You just have to really focus on dialing the phones, getting the appointments. As you get into more homes, you get better at your in home. You're able to kind of navigate the waters better and figure out what's best for, for your clients, and what's better for them. But
Mhm.
you don't have to know the ins and outs of everything. I know the ins and outs of maybe like 3 carriers. That's
Mhm.
it. Like, if even if now, if you tried to tell me to like pull up my Foresters app, I couldn't even tell you where, like Foresters or Transamerica, I rarely ever write that stuff. I wouldn't be able to figure it out. I'm being
Right.
honest, but you lead with Americo and you kind of pivot around to where you need to with AMM or Mutual or AIG. Um, but you really don't have to know everything inside and out. We have a
Yeah.
system.
Right. Do you feel like our job is complicated?
No, I've even told people, like, I'm gonna be your glorified order taker for like the next 30 minutes. Gonna try to get you approved. And that's literally what it is. What are we doing? We're asking the clients a bunch of questions on a piece of paper, and
Right.
then navigating them to where we need to be. I'll say it sometimes to clients, like, hey, I'm not like, this big guy that's, going to determine whether or not you get approved. I'm just a field underwriter. Hell, I'm honestly just your glorified order taker. And they're
Right.
like, I'm the guy that could put in the information in the policy and fight for you to get approved. They're like, oh, okay, cool. You're pretty chill. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm just that guy. I'm just trying to get you approved. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. And so with our job being simple and kind of you say people, they overcomplicate what we do. Do you feel like it's better for an agent to come in and that wait and just like keep retaining information? Or do you feel like the agents who come in and they just hit the ground running, they're the ones that seem to find the most success?
Yeah, they find the most success. They learn from their mistakes.
Mm.
Those that just hit the ground and go, they're more comfortable walking into homes. I have a few agents on my team that are both ways. A few that have literally passed the test, got a Marico and another carrier, and they run with it, and they're good to go. They run out there in the field with the Marico and AIG,
Right.
and they're ready to go. Like, if they're denied
Right.
America, I tell them, hey, run them AIG. That's it. And if they're healthy, run America. That's it.
Yeah.
And then I have a few on the team that, yeah, overthink it and overcomplicate it, and basically they're stalling themselves.
Sure.
And all I preach over and over again is just go try, just go
Hmm.
try, and you'll learn and you'll get better and you'll close more. And I mean, it's really not that deep.
Right, right. So obviously, Tierre, you came into this industry not knowing anything about sales, not I imagine not much about insurance,
Nothing.
before you came here. You got yourself to a place where you're writing 18, 19,000, part-time. Then now you're writing 30, 35 full-time and training other people to do it.
Hmm.
What do you feel like if there was, so obviously you've been very consistent in this industry. What do you feel like there is kind of like a watershed moment where you're just like, hey, like this is easy. I just need to go to work. I just need to do this and go to and if you have that moment, what was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I have Steve Giordano over me, and he does a lot of business, but he does a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
business because he runs a lot of appointments,
right.
and I think it was around, the time where he kept pushing me along, like, hey, come on, go full time, you could do this, you could do this, where I was like, hold on, if I just go full time, that just means I need to spend a little bit more in leads to get a little bit more appointments, and then I'll double my income. I was like, let me try this next week. And I did it for the next week. And I was like, holy cow, just having more appointments set me up for success, gave me more opportunity. And I was like, maybe that was a fluke. Let me do it again the next week, kind of doubting myself, but knowing that it works, right? I
Hmm.
did it the next week and I was like, so one week I had like 11,000. The next week it was like 15. The next week it was like 16. And I was like, maybe I'm just getting lucky. I did it again, 12. I was like, interesting. So just having more appointments gave me more opportunity. And I go back to that same model is like, if you run a lot of appointments, there are going to be people that will buy insurance from you or Big Bird. It didn't matter. They were going to buy insurance. Those people,
Yeah,
there's people out there that are literally just standing there with a check waiting to give it to somebody.
right.
And then as you get better in the home, you get more of those 50-50 clients where you're able to convert more of them to sales because you know more about the products, you know how to handle the rebuttals, you know how to handle all of those. I'm going to think about it, or, oh, let me think about it and wait. Well, Mary, you're 74 years old. You've been waiting 74 years. Why don't you just do this now? Oh, that's a good idea. All right. Whereas in the beginning, I probably would have been like, oh, yeah, just call me. And I would have walked away. Um, so you get better at converting a lot of those by just running more appointments. So
Sure, sure.
yeah, yeah.
You, you know,
When I was part time and I only did say 15 appointments in a week, I would run into only like 3 or 4 of those. Well, when you double it, I run into like 8 of those people
right.
that were more than likely just going to buy insurance. So that alone, you win.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I've asked that a very similar question to just about everyone. Many of them Hall of Famers, already on this call, and it's the answer has never been one time. Oh, I learned. Started saying this special thing in the house, or I like saw someone do this presentation and it was just so much better. So I started doing that presentation and I saw a huge difference. It's I would say 95% of the time it's been I just decided I would buy more leads and work harder. And that's been I even had a lady, she's been with us. She's one of our oldest agents. She was with our company almost 7 years, almost since the beginning. And she's only been a Hall of Fame producer for the last three. And I was like, what was the change after 4 years with us, going from 200,000 a year to 400,000 a year? She said two things. She started buying more leads, and I just started running the FFL structure. She's like, I started
Yep.
dialing Monday and Thursday for Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. She's like, that's it. And like she just
Yeah.
stared at me. Like she said that response and just looked. I was like, well, that's it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really all there is to it.
that's it. I mean, the only way you're gonna have a true winning chance is to have enough leads to dial and practice in the house. Um, I mean, that's it. And have a true like expectation, like a reality of your expectations with leads. You know, like I run probably about 90 to 95% instance and CRM stuff. Just
Okay.
because there's not a lot of mortgage down here. I have some mortgage in northern Florida, but I usually run those on off weeks, like when I'm up in Pensacola, because I'm down in South Florida.
Okay.
Um, but you know, having a reality of what instants are, you know, if I buy 100, I'm only trying to book 10 is my goal. I know I'll
Mm,
sit with 8 and sell 4 or 5 of them. I only need 1 to really make up my money. Anything else is extra. But
right.
I really set myself up like that. Like I'm only trying to get 10 appointments out of 100. But I mean, like this dial session, I had 22 out of 100. You know, pretty good. 22
Right.
appointments. So, I mean, they're spread out though. But yeah, so, you know, setting when I talk to my team about if you're running instance, you know, don't think you're going to book, you know, 50% of them, you know, be happy if you really just book 10, maybe
Right.
50. That's your real number.
Right. Yeah. Just put it in perspective. And once you, because if you're really just looking at the big picture, then it makes so much sense. I mean, if I spend $1,000 on leads and I write 5,000, I mean, there's no business model in the world. There's like
Yeah. Nah,
people wish they had that kind of, like, there's restaurant owners and mechanics and stuff. They
yeah.
wish they had that kind of return. They
Yeah. And I
pray.
mean, and it's again, it's, you know, like I think in the beginning, people think about, oh, well, have these 1,000 leads. I only got 10 appointments. What about the other 90? If you write 3,000, honestly, who cares about the other 90? If
Right.
you know, if you make your money back, I think like if you sell one and you make right exactly what you paid into it, I would focus probably on door knocking those other 90 more so, right?
Hmm.
But like if I book 10 appointments out of 100, usually set about 10 on a door knock schedule, you know, based on my schedule for that day or for that week. I put the ones that I think are gonna, you know, clients that were kind of iffy, kind of told me they weren't interested after they've already verified all their information, but they're still like, no, no, I don't want anybody. Like I'm gonna door knock them. Just I'm gonna put it on my schedule, and then the other, you know, 75 of them, I might redial them at some point, but I really don't care. I just kind of move on and then buy new leads for the next week.
Right. Well, it's like you said, you're looking for, and honestly, doing this for a while now, some days, like, I shoot people straight. There's some days I get in my car and it's privilege, it's first world problem, a great job problem, but I get in my car and I'm not feeling it, that day. But you know what I decide when I do that day? I'm just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put on some music, I'm gonna enjoy driving around, and I'm just gonna look for the checks. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna,
Yep.
and if they don't want it, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna go to the next one. Like, I'm not gonna fight it today. Like, I'm just looking for the checks. And dude, there have been many of those days where I still write 3, 4, 5,000, and I'm literally just going, like, I'll be thinking in my mind, just hurry up and tell me no so I can go to the so I can go
Yeah,
to the
but
next one.
but that's what happens when you run a lot of appointments.
Hmm.
I kind of like I have a demeanor in the home like I don't care to be there. Like I want to help you, but if you give me like 9 or 10 rebuttals, like I'm packing up my stuff and I'm walking out. And I've
Right.
had clients tell me like, "Well, hold on, where are you going?" I was like, "Look, you've already told me no 7 times. Like I'm ready to roll. I got another appointment I could go to. I could help another family." And they're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
but no, we have more questions." What are the questions? Are you gonna get your checkbook, or am I getting out of here? Oh, we'll get our checkbook. Okay, cool. Then let's go through this real quick because now I only have 10 minutes left before I have to go to my next appointment.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I've
but
been
when you,
doing this. The same thing
yeah,
where you're just like, I'm already packing up my bag, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm
I'm,
like,
th-
"Oh, like, it doesn't sound like you want this, and my schedule's really tight."
yep. Yeah, so I mean, sometimes, I leave and, I may get a call back or something like that, but I'm not even concerned about it. Like when you run a lot of appointments, it's non-emotional. You just kind of move on, you
Oh
know?
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. One of my favorite examples, and then I know I want to be respectful for your time. We'll wrap up here. But one of my
Yeah,
favorite examples, I was having one of these days. I was running in Chicago, and I think the one I was actually having a decent day. I'd already written like 3 or 4 thousand, but it was getting late, and I was just getting in that mood. I had one person porch me, the other one basically slammed the door in my face, and I had one more appointment, and I walked in the house, and I was sitting down with the husband and wife, and literally I'm 3 minutes in the conversation. The wife stops the conversation and just looks at me. She's like, "Hey, this is really important, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And she looks at her husband. She's like, "Hey, this is really important." And he was like, "Yeah, like I understand." And it was like something crazy. It was like 500-600 bucks a month,
yeah,
at the end, and like you're literally anyone could have walked into that situation, like you said, like Big Bird could have walked in there, and they just wanted it. They knew how important it was. They had the
yep.
money. They were willing to do it, and so they were going to do it. So no, you're 100% right. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Tierre. Two things. First, so what's your goal for the end of the year, personally and for your team?
Personally stay consistent with, 20, 30, 35,000 a month. So that'll probably put me probably like 330, 340, somewhere in there, personal.
Okay.
I'm more driven for, uh, uh, 300 at the end of the year, monthly IP.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna mute this guy here. We're getting some interference.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, me personally, the personal goals for me are be able to reinvest back into my business and pay my business, to grow
Sure.
my business. So, if I hit Hall of Fame, great. If I don't, I don't. But it's really just to get, you know, recruiters and build my team is main focus. So I'll probably end up about 330 personally. Um,
Okay.
just Yeah, but team goal, yeah, about 300, 250 to 300. I think Steve wants me to be at 500, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, about to
So
say,
I think,
don't let Steve
300.
hear this. Don't let Steve hear this non-Hall of Famers talk. He's gonna come up behind you like that Undertaker
Yeah,
meme.
yeah. Him and I go back and forth, in terms of, how much I should be writing versus whatever. But I mean, I know what my comfortable number is, and I know like the long-term goal. And if I could consistently write 30,000 a month, I'm good. Like, you know, 20,000 a month for 6 months, then 30,000 a month for the last 6 months. If I just do 30,000 a month, I'm able to fund the business and live comfortably. Just like everybody building, we're not looking for, to really take home any of the profits now. Like you're looking at the end game, the long run game. And I'm not looking to get rich or anything now, but I am very comfortable. And
Mhm.
what do I need to be comfortable is like 30K. Still not bad,
Sure,
you know.
sure. All right. And then, so Tier, and last thing, so we asked somebody, obviously there's going to be a lot of agents, they're going to watch this. We've had about, I don't know, a few on here this whole time, and then many more that are going to watch it. Some new, just getting started, some on the path like going to be Hall of Fame producers, building an agency. If you could give one parting shout to all those people that you think would be a blessing to all of them that would help them in this industry, what would it be?
One, don't think you need to know everything about products. Do not overthink.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in the insurance business or not, just don't overthink it. Um, in the beginning, focus on dialing,
Mm-hmm.
buying leads, and rebuttals. That's it. Very simple. One, because you you'll have plenty of times in the home if you get enough appointments. So I tell all my guys, like, focus on from day one, focus on getting real good at buying leads and being consistent with buying leads, consistency with dialing the phones, and and you just be consistent overall, you know.